What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and I'm here with Paul. Me and Paul have known each other for a long time, really. So probably 3 or 4 years, but we've never really done much work together. And I reached out to him because he's a like-minded toffee. He's got a fantastic fan channel as well, Falcon Blues TV. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe on those guys. I can imagine the reaction was slightly heated yesterday following the game, but Paul, thanks for coming on the Blue Boys Network, mate. I appreciate it.
No problem, mate. I appreciate you having me on. And you know what? Funnily enough, yesterday, it popped up on me memories. It was 2 years ago yesterday that we did the sleepover at Goodison.
Yeah.
Outside Plaza, just before the lockdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate, do you remember? Because, like, me and you stayed up till 5 in the morning. Me, you, Dave, there was some of the other guys, Karina was there. We're just sitting there drinking tea. Do you remember?
Well, to be honest with you, mate, I know we weren't meant to, but I snuck a bit of alcohol in, to be honest.
Ah, did you? Cheeky few.
Cheeky few. But the funniest thing was, they checked your bags when you go in, and I was like, oh fuck, they're gonna see a bottle of Jameson in, a few tinnies. The guy opened it up, seen the glimmer of the cans, looked at me, smiled, and went, "There you go, kid." And he went out.
It was a great night. There's no better. It's really weird, and it's sitting there looking at the lights on the pitch, and it's just so weird. It's amazing, and it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it was good. It was cold though.
It was cold. I didn't sleep. It was horrible because I'd gone from Birmingham to London to Liverpool. Didn't sleep. I think I got an hour's kip. And then got home at like fucking 10 o'clock in the morning. I was fucked. I was absolutely fucked.
Yeah, I maybe got an hour's sleep if that. But it did open my eyes a lot to be like, I couldn't sleep rough like that. It must be horrendous. Like, but one thing I do remember from it, do you remember we nicknamed him the Poundland Speedo Mick?
Yeah.
Some fella was going around thinking he's going to be the new Speedo Mick, and I was like, who's this kid? And like, why would you do that on this night? It's freezing. But it was good. Callum from the Mighty Blues was there. I remember that. Snodge was knocking around for a bit as well. Yeah.
Good night. It was a good night. It's the thing that obviously, I'm not a Scouser. My dad is, like, family is, like, everyone's a Scouser bar me. And I get this real sense of, like, belonging whenever I'm in Walton, I'm at Goodison. Like, if I could move tomorrow, I would, and I'd move anywhere. Like, I'd just be in the community, and I'd be everywhere. I'd be that annoying twat that everyone knew, but just cared. Like, I just care.
Everton, aren't we?
Everton, aren't we? Yeah. That's it. Everton, aren't we? Honestly, once Everton have touched you, I tell you. I'd say this has started fairly positive, bearing in mind we just got dipped 5-0.
Oh yeah, you've got to laugh, haven't you? Otherwise you'll just cry. But it was poor yesterday. Don't get me wrong. We're not making light of that. And the worst thing for me, Mike, was first 15 minutes was pretty good. It was pretty positive.
Honestly, bar the three first half goals, I genuinely felt like we dominated the ball. We kept it well, to be fair. We moved the transitions from defence to midfield. But then I just felt like we constantly struggled to break them down defensively. And every single time Spurs got the ball on the counter, I felt like we were out of position. We were too far pushed up the pitch. And we just got done every single time. Like Son, if he was carrying it from defence, that long ball from Højbjerg in midfield, I just felt like we had no answer to it yesterday. Like, nothing. There was literally nothing we could done apart from get a hiding yesterday. Did you think the same?
I agree that high press we played did not work out. And look, I don't like to badmouth Seamus Coleman, and I think it's the club's failures for not replacing him. But he looked real out of pace, out of depth. It was so easy to counter us yesterday. And, like, I remember Jamie Carragher at half-time making that comment that this looks like a championship back four. I can't argue with that. I really couldn't. the first goal, you look at it and go, it could be stopped. Maybe Holgate could come over. Michael Keane decides to volley it in his own net. And look, I don't like to lay it into certain players, but do you realise how many shouts I've had on Twitter and comments saying, can you put Michael Keane on the list? And I'm like, look, guys, I can't put a current Everton player on the list. It's bad form, that, innit? And look, I'm frustrated with him as well. The lad's obviously, his head's gone. You know what I mean? I think that's why he got subbed. I don't think he was concussed. I think he just needed to go. And him and Holgate playing together, it's just, I get nervous every time we can see the corner or someone puts a cross in. And the worst thing is, like, there's been games this season where they've done all right, like against Leeds and stuff. I know Leeds aren't great this season, but when Yerry Mina's playing next to one of them, they look better players. But obviously, Yerry's knees are like made of glass, and we can't get him fit. Hopefully, Godfrey's back Sunday, because that defence needs to change.
Yeah, it was shocking, weren't it? Because like when you sat there, the first goal, as you say, Coleman gets done. He gets done. He's got no pace. He runs around him. He runs all the way to the bar line. Holgate's 10 yards too far forward, and Michael Keane's the wrong side of Harry Kane, puts all the pressure on him. Then the second goal, which is a counter-attack again from the other side of the pitch. Son gets the ball and it goes under Pickford. Pickford's had his moments, but I actually don't think he's been too bad this season. I actually thought he was worse last season. But I was so disappointed in that. And it killed us. It absolutely killed us. That 4-minute gap in between those goals murdered us, because we had no comeback. 1-0. I genuinely thought at 1-0, well, we've dominated the game. We'll push on. We'll go get one. But as soon as that second goal went in, I knew it was over. Knew it. And it's shit. It's horrible, because how is it that I looked at our front six players last night? Alan, Decore, Donny van der Beek, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, and Anthony Gordon. And Everton are 17th in the league.
Yeah. It's criminal, isn't it?
It's just, it's so bad mismanagement from the board, the managers, everything. It's so bad. The players.
I mean, don't forget, some of these players, especially the defenders, we've seen those players down tools and get a couple of managers sacked. And Pickford should do better with the second goal, but I think this season it's probably been one of his best. He's always playing in front of dog shit. You know what I mean? It's when people say Ederson and Alisson are the best keepers in the league, they're also playing in front of the best defences in the league as well. They don't really have that many saves to make per match. You look at Pickford and you see some of the saves he's made this season, and he's constantly shouting at them, and it must be frustrating for him. It's you look at that squad on paper, and I know people always harp on and say, "Oh, they were second on Boxing Day 2020," and it's they were. But you know what? I don't know. I think a lot of them need to take a look at themselves early. And like I said, look, Coleman, he's been a great servant for the club, and it is club failures that was not really replaced him. Look, we've signed the lad from Rangers, who hopefully will be a good prospect. People are saying throw him in now. I understand why they're not, because to throw a young lad in like that with little experience could be a real gamble. And I think that's the same. I think that's the same for Michaelenko. I mean, obviously his head's going to be elsewhere for obvious reasons. Yeah. But it is failures of the board, really, when you look at it. So we've sold Luca Dean to Villa because we're back on the manager. 3 days later, we sacked the manager. So that tells you everything you need to know about Everton's board. And look, I wasn't really... The thing with Luca Dean was, he's obviously had a falling out with the manager, but Luca Dean's star has been fading for the past 18 months. He got dropped by Villa this weekend. He got dropped by them for obvious reasons, really. He's not playing well. His only assist, I think, this season, ironically, has come against Everton when he set that corner up. But that's proper Everton, that. But you look at the players out injured, and it's who can come in? Brandthwaite, I think, is a good prospect. But again, you're putting a lot of pressure on a young kid there. As I say, hopefully Godfrey's back. I don't know if we'll see Yerry before the end of the season, but at this point with Mina, I'd think about cashing in on him on the summer because the money we're paying him as wages, I think he's averaged just 20 games a season, and it's not good enough. And look, I'm sure he's frustrated as anyone else being injured, but he always seems to be fit when he goes away to Colombia, doesn't he? But I mean, big investments needed in that back forward in the summer. But at the minute, this is what we've got, and unfortunately, Keane's really the only one fit. Allgate is. We've got Brantwaite. You know, it's worrying. You know, and I think teams now know if you put that defence under pressure, they will crumble. We've seen it versus Norwich. We've seen it versus Watford, Newcastle, Southampton, and yesterday was the worst of them all. And you know, it's difficult to dissect it sometimes, but we've kind of got to write it off and really get a big win on Sunday because we need to win those next 2 home games. That's paramount. That because the fixtures coming up aren't too kind for us. But I look at it when Sky are going, oh, United are home, we can beat them. We can beat them at home.
I always sit there and I look at Everton and you know, if you look at before Lampard walked in, where our results had come from, they were against Arsenal, draw with Chelsea, draw with Spurs, draw with Man United. And you sit there and you just and we held Man City to. I mean, let's be honest, we got robbed last week. Everyone knows that. But
I joked to my mates and said, we're not on Match of the Day later. We're going to be on Crime Watch. But I mean, speaking of that Spurs 0-0, we should have had a pen that game.
Yeah, we should.
Turned it down, and it was Chris Kavanagh again. Our mate Chris, the one who also denied us a winner against United. The guy who I remember we played Brighton, and someone stamped on Michael Keane's foot, and then they scored the winner. That sound according to Chris Kavanagh. I mean, we got a nice apology. That was nice.
Yeah.
But you know what? Yeah. Punish him, demote him, send him to League One for a bit. Do something like that, because you know. To be fair though, I was quite happy when the Lampard come out and Ashley Cole did that, because it's something that we should have been doing years ago. Alex Ferguson used to do it. Klopp does it really well as well. If you kick off enough, they will remember stuff like that, and you get decisions in your favour. I'm not saying it's right, but if other teams do it, we've got to do it. We're too nice at times, Everton. You know what I mean? I missed Snides. I used to love Fellaini because he was horrible, and everyone hated him. You know, every good team needs a proper twat in the team. And I feel we're lacking that. I was saying this the other week, but back in the 90s, we weren't great. And we were always in relegation battles. But we had leaders. We had characters like Dave Watson, David Weir, Lee Carsley, Don Hutchison, John Collins, Kevin Campbell, Duncan Big. Players who get stuck in. And I'm missing out a few players there, but that's what worries me about this Everton team. There seems to be a lack of fight sometimes.
A lot of people said that last night, and actually, to be fair, Lampard called it out as well. It shocked me in a good way that he threw some of those players under the bus. He literally said the only positive is Anthony Gordon, and a lot of them. Do you know? It's horrible to say this, but even the players that I used to say I can rely on them to try. Calvert-Lewin last season, I thought at times last season we were poor under Ancelotti at the sort of, you know, at the end of the season. I thought we were poor at times. But I always felt like if the ball went into Calvert-Lewin, he'd try to get on the end of it. He'd work hard to get on the end of it. I know he's been injured, and I'm not going to dig him out too much for it, but there's being injured and there's a mentality. And I'm starting to feel like even the mentality of that fighting is gone. Like, it's gone. There was only 2 players last night that I thought fought for that shirt. And it was Anthony Gordon and John Joe Kenny. And I didn't think Kenny was great, by the way. I'm not sitting here saying he had a great game. But I didn't ever think he dropped his tools. I felt like every single player last night dropped his tools by them too.
Oh, I agree. There was a point in the match yesterday when we were 5-0 down, and Anthony Gordon chased down 4 players. While I look around and see the rest of them just strolling around, that's what annoys me more than anything. And I mean, on John Joe Kenny, I mean, let's be fair to the lad. He's been put out of position, and he's done pretty well. You know, you look at the Leeds game, Brentford and whatnot, and like, his contract's up in the summer. Now, I'd give him a new contract. I'm not saying he's going to start every week, but I think he's a good squad player, and he's not going to be on mega wages. You know what I mean? He's going to be on, decent wages. Well, moderate wages for the Premier League player nowadays.
Yeah,
And we still have to think about financial fair play. But at least those two, at least, they care. You know what I mean? It probably hurts them more than the others. At least we know the Toffees as well. And, but Anthony Gordon's been one of the shining lights this year out of, not many. Probably like him and Damari Gray. You know what I mean? But, don't get me wrong, look, we've had some bad decisions go our way this season, and we have been unlucky with injuries. But you know what? We've got to get on with it now. You know what I mean? Because I was reading some of the journalists, as they're called
yeah,
these days. Phil McNulty in the BBC's article was, "Are Everton so bad to go down?" Phil McNulty's a Liverpool fan, by the way. He doesn't mention the performance against City. He didn't mention the performance against Leeds or Brentford. Because to be fair, the home games have been good. All right, bar Boreham Wood, but that wasn't really like a full strength side. But we've got to go into Wolves thinking of that, the way we played against Leeds and Brentford. And yeah, I hate to say this, but they are must-win games, aren't they? When you look at those fixtures, we need to win those game in hands, big time.
yeah, we do. We need to win those games in hand, because if we don't, I genuinely think we're going down. It's that simple. I think if we do not get at least 4 points out the next 2 games, we're down, and that's straight. Because let's talk candidly. Leeds have got Norwich this weekend, I think. So you
Yeah,
expect Leeds to win. They've put in a decent performance against Leicester, so I'm expecting them to get results. Burnley don't die. Like, they just don't. It's just one of the traits that Sean Dyche has. They do not die. So if they won't die, but we're already dead, I fancy Burnley's chances of staying up over Everton. So
I I think
all of
Burnley
it,
will score.
that's what I mean. So all of a sudden, it's genuinely between us and Leeds.
We've been
And
really lucky the last few weeks that like the teams below us and above us haven't been picking up results. Because if this was any other season, we'd be fucking bottom or second bottom, really.
mm,
Realistically, looking at it, and like even Brentford got a win on the weekend. Leeds
yeah,
played well against Leicester. Burnley, I've said for a few weeks, I think Burnley will stay up. It's Leeds who have been in free fall. You know what I mean? I was gutted when they got rid of Bielsa, who I do think is a good manager, but something weren't working there.
yeah,
But the only saving grace from that is apparently all the players are really upset because they love Bielsa. Because when you think about it, he got them up. You know what I mean? A lot of them
mm,
players, no one knew who they were. Look at Calvin Phillips now. He's went and played for England. Patrick Bamford's
yeah.
career's got an injection from him. A lot of players really respected him, but yeah, you got to think surely there's got to be 3 worse teams than Everton, and it's really sad that we're relying on like West Ham to get us wins, and we're even cheering on Liverpool when they're playing teams below us. And we've got Brentford the last home game. That could be a massive game, that. And
Absolutely.
I'm on the coach to go to the Arsenal away for the last game. We don't want to be going there needing 3 points. You know what I mean? Like, I remember the Coventry game in 97, 98, and that was horrible. You know what I mean? And I was only a kid then, but your nerves would be gone and everything. It's been a while since we've been in trouble like this. Like, I forgot what it was like. I was like, Jesus. I remember one of my mates a few years ago saying, when we were kind of languishing mid-table, and like
Yeah.
the last 10 games meant nothing, he was like, at least when we were in a relegation battle, there was something to invest in. It was interesting. And I was like, no, it wasn't, mate. No, it
No.
ain't. I'll take languishing mid-table any day over that. And
Yeah, mate.
the worst thing is, I think if we stayed up and Frank had the chance to get rid of some of this deadwood, because there's a lot, and bring in a couple more of his players, I think we'd be all right. I genuinely do.
Honestly, so do I. Like, I literally feel like Everton's biggest problem right now is the fact they're not used to being in this position. I feel like if we were sitting, say, 10th or 12th in the league, I feel like we would pick up the odd result here, there, and everywhere, and we would be fine. It's the fact that we've got to have a battle mentality, and because we haven't got that, we don't know what we're doing. If you get what I mean, it's like Manchester City now are designed and built to win. So if you stick Manchester City 6th or 7th, I think they struggle. I just think because they're not used to it. It's a different mentality.
Mm.
Everton's mentality is soft. You rightly said it at the start of the video. We are soft. And being in a relegation battle against Leeds, who have only been in the Premier League, 2 years, 3 years? Burnley, who are a battling team. Watford and Norwich, you expect probably to go down anyway. And Brentford, who are newly promoted. They've got something to play for. Oh, yeah, they don't want to go down. For Everton, this is we've been in the Premier League the whole time. We've never been relegated. We were relegated once in our history in '54. We come back up and won the league. Well, I'm telling you now, if we get relegated this year, one, I'd be surprised if we come back up. But if we do, we're definitely not winning the Premier League the season after. So
we're not doing a Leicester, are we?
We're not doing a Leicester.
That is the worry, because you look at how many clubs go down and then they're just stuck there for a while.
Well, Leeds is a prime example.
Yeah.
Leeds is a prime example.
For nearly 20 years.
So, the 3 seasons before they got relegated, or 4 seasons, they were playing in the semi-final of the Champions League, and it took them 17 years to get promoted.
Yeah, I remember that team as well under David O'Leary. They had a lot of good youth players, and then what's his name? I forget the chairman's name now. Who just went nuts and started spending money like it was going out of fashion.
That's it. Yeah,
Peter Rigsdale, yeah.
Wow. He loved it. He did. It was like water to him. It was.
He spent $5,000 a week on his fish tank.
So you see, it's ridiculous.
That shows you how much financial, like he was forward thinking there, wasn't he? I'll spend $5,000 on the fish tank. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, mate. Honestly. Just getting back, just before we touch on the next game and what we need to change. When Lampard made them substitutions last night, i.e., he brought Mikalenko on and he made it 5 at the back, we all of a sudden become compact and less, essentially more difficult to break down. Do you think that was more Spurs took their foot off the gas, or Everton were just more difficult to beat? And if so, would you play like that every single away game to try and get 0-0s, maybe a 1-0 win? Or would you set up like he did, which was very open, aggressive, attacking?
I think it was a bit of both, wasn't it? Spurs did take the foot off the pedal a bit because they didn't need to go forward anymore. But I think it depends on who you're playing. Really, when you look back, why we wanted to do that against Spurs, because we know they're quick. We know Son's really quick, and we know Coleman's not. So it's quite easy to exploit us there. But look, I would rather us play a bit more compact to try and get points. It's worked for us sometimes. Because you think, right, when everyone's laying into this defence, same defence that got a draw at Chelsea, same defence that got a draw at Old Trafford. You know what I mean? So they can defend when they want to. And yeah, I know there's some players missing, but I think at some point yesterday, because what I was saying is I was worried about the goal difference. We've got a worse goal difference than Burnley now. And it could come down to something like that. Yeah. And really, we've got a worse goal difference now because of that game. You know what I mean? Because we really did. At one point, it was just like, fucking, just bend over now, boys. Come on, have another goal. And there was just the one part really frustrated me where Coleman gave the ball away. They crossed it in, and I think was it Harry Kane's goal maybe, and he was the first one to start shouting at the players, and it's like, you just give the ball away. Don't be shouting at them. Take some accountability. You're the captain, and you could see he was frustrated because he was having a bit of argy-bargy at half-time with one of their players. And look, like I said, he's been a great servant to the club. Probably hurts him more than most as well. You know what I mean? He loves Everton. But, I don't know. It's a tough one to call. Who is our next away game? Because we've got Wolves, Newcastle, and then I believe it's West Ham.
Is it West Ham? Yeah.
Oh. And that's not going to be an easy game either, is it?
Well, the problem is, without sounding horrible, I don't expect to win that game. Do you get what I mean? It sounds horrible, but if you was to say to me now, Everton are going to go away from home and get 3 points, I'd laugh at you. Like, it's mind-blowing that 4 of our points that we took away from home this season, and bearing in mind, I think we've only had 6, is... Four of them was in the first 4 games this season. Brighton and Leeds.
Brighton and Leeds, yeah, and then it was Old Trafford, Stamford Bridge. But
Yeah,
then
I mean that's ridiculous.
we just absolutely get battered by certain teams like Palace, Wolves, Newcastle. Because you look at those games, we didn't deserve anything out of them. You know what I
Nah,
mean? Norwich as well. Norwich deserved to win.
we
And
were never in them, was we? Never
no,
in the Norwich game was horrendous because I was sitting probably on the third row in. I was with Finlay, my little one, took him. He was right up for it because obviously there was a lot of vile towards Rafa because of like everything he'd done. Like
yeah,
it was aggressive. He loved it. But I was sitting there and I was just like, how has this team done this against Norwich, conceding goals like that? It's just, but we've seen it loads of times this season where we've
mm,
conceded quick fire goals. Villa scored 3 goals in 10 minutes.
so yeah,
So
yeah.
it's
And
just like,
Luka Dean scored no goal, didn't he?
yeah, I mean, it's just, you sit there and you just think, do you know what? I don't. And when I look at the away games we've got, so we've got Watford to be rearranged and Burnley to be rearranged because I think that's all changed now, isn't it? Then we've
Yeah,
got
because
West
the
Ham.
FA Cup.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got West Ham, Liverpool,
Ugh,
Leicester, and Arsenal.
yeah, it's not
I,
not easy games then.
the
Not
the
easy
only
games.
one, the only one that I could see us potentially taking a point from, weirdly, is Leicester.
Yeah, God, I went to Leicester a few years ago. Do you remember we lost in the last minute to a VAR offside
Oh,
goal?
yeah, we do. Yeah,
I was trying to leave when they went to VAR because we knew what was going to happen there.
yeah,
And
yeah.
just when you get sort of stuck on the concourse stairs, that's when all the Leicester fans started celebrating. It's like, just get me out of here now.
That was
Yeah, yeah,
that was Iheanacho, weren't it? If I remember, he come on as a
yeah.
sub and done
What?
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
about
Richarlison scored first, so as we took the lead, it was
yeah,
one of
yeah.
Silva's last games, wasn't it?
Mate, what a
Oh,
job he's done by the way at Fulham.
yeah, yeah.
Um, just talking about the home games, then obviously we've got Wolves and Newcastle coming up. We've got Man United at home, Chelsea at home, Brentford at home, plus the rearranged games.
I think it's obviously Leicester, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Leicester and Crystal Palace. How
We
many
pick up
points
some points from them.
we can pick up? This is what I mean with the way that we played against Leeds and Brentford in the cup, etc. I really do think if we're going to stay up, it will be Goodison. I think it will be us as fans because the players have got no fight, but they have to fight when we're there pushing them to fight. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been a bit weird under Lampard because, like I say, for the most part, the home form's been good. The performances have been all right.
Mhm.
What I've liked since pretty much the Brentford game is in the Gladys Street. Everyone's standing up. It's like it's a
Yeah,
derby. No one's sitting down. And listen, unfortunately, if you're one of those people in the Gladys Street who go, sit down, some of my mates just turn around to you and go, fucking stand up.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
want to sit down, go and sit in the park end or the Bullens or the family enclosure like that. It's got to be that way now. It's got to be. You know
It's
what I
got to be,
mean?
it's got to be aggressive. It has to be. I mean, I was sitting in the paddock against Boreham Wood the other day, and you heard me shout on ITV because I was at the game, but I watched the match back after. I always do watch it twice. And you heard me at about 70 minutes when they started singing about us. You heard me shout at the top of my voice. Um, we bought your shirt, you scruffy. You heard me,
Yeah.
and I was just like because obviously I was so close to the camera and I was literally 5 seats away from them. I lose it. I do. So I would be better sitting in the Gladys Strip because I'd be a twat. I'd shout. I'd scream. I'd get the team up for it. But every single side of that stadium has to do that. I mean, me and John have been booted out and everything.
Well, it happens sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it
My
does,
my,
mate.
my favourite highlight from the Boreham Wood game was after the game. I don't know if you've seen the kid who got on the pitch, and I
Yeah,
think he got Gordon's shirt. The
yeah. It was
steward was
Kenny.
chasing him and fell over. And as soon as the lad got like a good few yards away from them, looked over to the Gladys seat and just started celebrating like he's won the
Yeah,
FA Cup. And then, eventually they got two stewards, and they've both got him at arm. He's like a 10-year-old or something. Really, though, what the lad should have done is jump back in the Gladys Street then. But, yeah, hopefully he got to keep that shirt. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
punish the young lad for that.
Nah, they won't punish him. They'd be mad to punish him.
Yeah.
Obviously, I and Paul, obviously, I really appreciate it. But the one last thing I want to talk on. Obviously, we've had some tragic news today that Gordon Lee, former Everton manager, and not necessarily a massive legend, but a well-respected man at Everton Football Club, passed away today, old age. And obviously thoughts and kept feelings really with his family for obvious reasons, isn't it?
Yeah, I was speaking to me dad about that earlier, because obviously he was around then. He remembers the team had like Bob Latchford in, Nick Lyons, and he always said that Everton team should have won something. And to be fair, we did get fucking robbed as well. Funnily enough, it's always referees, isn't it? There was I believe it was the semi-final against Liverpool in the League Cup when a certain referee who's on the list gave a handball, and well, it wasn't really but yeah, it's very sad, isn't it? Always when someone from Everton's history passes away. He was 87, wasn't he? And I'm sure there'll be something planned for him on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, look, we'll leave it there. But I think we've sort of digested the game yesterday. I think we've spoke about what we need to be doing and how important the fans are. And I'll be there Sunday. I'm sitting in the main stands. Oh, honestly, I sit.
Oh,
I don't joke. I'm in the wooden ones at the back where if you stand up, you would clatter. Yeah.
They're the classic ones, them, aren't they? Do you know what, right? One final thing I can say is, while I was watching the match yesterday, when it was going to like 3 or 4, there was a part of me sitting there. I said it to me, mate, I went, you know what? I should have went to pictures and went to watch Batman again,
Oh, yeah.
Batman never lets me down. He always saves the day. But,
Mate, you were there, weren't you? 12 o'clock on release night, weren't you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I had to go after the Bournemouth game. I had to, so...
It's dedication, and it's my God. I didn't get home until 1:30 in the morning.
Gets the thumbs up from me. Does the new Batman, with Belter.
Good film. I haven't watched it.
Really good. Highly recommend.
I'm going to get some proper stick in the comments for saying I ain't been and watched it yet as well. I know I am. Paul, what's next for you guys, Falcon Blues? Anything you need to share with them?
Oh, yeah. Steve McManaman won a vote to go on the list. So I've got something special planned for Steve. I didn't really want to put him on, but the funny thing is, a lot of my mates who are Liverpool fans wanted him on the list. And I was like, why? We just ate him. He's gobshite. Yeah. Just talk shit on BT. And I'm like, well, BT are full of gobshites, aren't they? I legitimately think they got Robbie Savage, Rio Ferdinand, Joe Cole, Michael Owen, Chris Sutton. But you know why they hire these people, don't they? Because they get a reaction. People knowing about it and talk about it. And that's how it is, isn't it?
Is Chris Sutton already on your list?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Good. Because he should be absolute top of that list.
Yeah, he went on there a few years ago.
If you don't know what list we're on about, guys, make sure you get yourself over to Falcon Blues TV's list. Honestly, it's all on Twitter as well, so it'll keep you inundated. Also, they do some fantastic gear, merch, pin badges, the works. They do some fantastic stuff. So get over to the store and have a look as well. Make sure you support them, because it's important that all of our fan channels, content channels, we all support each other. I think it's something that I think a lot of people, unfortunately, are guilty of not helping each other. Not necessarily ourselves, but I think there's others, and no disrespect to them, but I think if we all help each other, we all sort of help do our little bit for trying to get these results on Sunday, because we all communicate, we all get behind them, we'll all have a drink and a laugh, but most importantly, we'll get the 3 points as the Blue Boys.
I agree.
That was almost a great ending, weren't it? It was like almost just a top ending. I should have just left it there, shouldn't I? I should have fucking stopped it. I should have said end podcast. Oh, Paul, it's been a pleasure as always, mate. And yeah, mate, if you're free on Sunday, I'll see you at the game.
Yeah, I'll be around.
Yeah, all right, and boss. Right, guys, I'll see you soon. Peace.
Up the fucking toffees, eh?
Up the fucking